Man, oh man. Whew. Republicans, man. Let's talk. Let's talk. Why so fragile, man? Goodness gracious. Why so fragile? I put out a video about Brittany Griner, man. Some of y'all just lost it. Why so fragile? Why be so fragile? Listen, you could be a million things, but you decided to be salty. You could have been productive. You could have been happy. You could have been rich. You could have been poor. But you chose to be salty. You know, Republicans, let me tell you something about the Republican Party. They say that they are not as bad as Democrats. And I got to say, in terms of winning and losing, Republicans do win a lot. But when it comes to not embarrassing yourself, Republicans are just terrible at it. They're terrible at it. They're terrible at it. Listen, in one breath, they'll say, we are anti-big government, right? In one breath. But then the other book, they'll say, fund the police. And it's like, okay, so let me ask you, how much is that costing you? Are you really small government then? No, no, it sounds like you're bootlickers. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like there's a whole lot of bootlicking there, but people want to pretend like it's not. You know, seems that way. Now call me crazy, but it seems that way. It also seems like Republicans justify heavy spending on any kind of budget so long as the right messiah, Republican politician tells you to, like a good surf. I've noticed that Republicans, even more so than Democrats, walk lockstep. They will listen to anything a politician will say. You want to know how I know that? Listen to their talking points. Listen to their talking points. They sound almost exactly like Tucker Carlson. They sound almost exactly like anybody else. They sound almost exactly like anything that you see on TV. Listen, these people are only good at repeating things. They are the parrots of politics. The one thing that you got to give the far left is that you got slam poetry, you got like graffiti, you got some actual original thoughts there. But when it comes to Republicans, it's the same stale stuff, and that's how you know racism is so strong within the Republican ranks. That's the only way, the only force that can allow a party that is so hypocritical, so out of sorts. The only force that could counterbalance that could actually make that work. White supremacy. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is the only thing that can make that work. And if anyone doesn't care for what I have to say, then I apologize. This is how my channel is. And see, the thing is that when it comes to the Republican Party, they are relying off of a base that is slowly going away. You see, when 2040 pops up, right? The sun, from what I understand, is supposed to be very, very hot. The earth is warming up as we speak. And so that means that the planet is going to be more conducive to people who have melanin. That's not just me just throwing something out there. That's actual been studies that's been shown with that. And you could even see how the earth is warming up, right? And the winters are getting short, but the summers are getting longer. What kind of skin complexion do you think is more conducive to that? This is why they've already predicted the world is going to get overall darker over the next 20 years. 20 years and beyond that, it's going to be at least a couple of shades darker. In fact, by 2040, the majority of the country is going to be white Hispanic people, which is cool. Which is cool. I have no issue with that. It is what it is. But that's what it is. That's what it's going to be. And so these people right now, what you have in the dominant white society is a lot of fear. People are afraid to accept reality. This is why the Republicans, right? They have a thing about them, whereas they rely off of a voting base that for the most part is very loyal, but is dwindling as we speak. You see, when you look at overall the numbers the Republican Party is pulling from, it's pulling from middle-aged to older people, and younger people by and large, have been voting. And Hispanics, from what I can see, they definitely have been voting for Republicans. There's no question about it. But the thing is that overall, what you see in the with the Republican Party is that they're trying to rely off of that older white voting base. And when it comes to the Hispanic community, that can go either way, man. Depending on how the wind blows, is if the Democrat Party gives the Hispanic community something that they're looking for, hey, depending on how the wind blows, the Hispanic community can just go a certain way. So I want you to understand something, right? Politics is not about Democrat or Republicans. See, we have this silly binary in this country where we think that Republican good or Democrat bad, Republican good, right? So we have this silly binary in this country, and it traps people into this singular type of thinking where it can go one way or the other. But the problem with the modern day Republican Party is that it fancies itself being libertarian when they're anything but. Really, when you look at the modern day Republican Party, they're like really far right socialists. Sounds a little familiar. Not gonna say it, but sounds very familiar. Now, with that being said, what do I mean by socialist? Well, you look at all the programs that they actually advocate for. Some of the poorest states in this country, like Alabama, Mississippi, you know, they pull off of welfare. A good bit of people pull off of welfare. And that's not an opinion. I'm just stating facts. Stating facts. Many of those states, they pull off of welfare. And a lot of those states are poor white people. And the sad part about that is that many of those white people blame us for their condition, or the Hispanic community, when the fact of the matter is they had over a 400-year head start. Imagine for a second you sitting at home and you blaming people that your people once enslaved because you have problems. You're blaming 13% of the population for welfare spending when even if you remove 13% of the population, you're still spending billions on welfare. So how are you blaming us? Detroit is in shambles, but Alabama is a whole different type of shambles, okay? And a lot of cities are poor black people, but we're only 13% of the population. So even if all 13% of us were actually impoverished, it wouldn't compare to the amount of poor white people. Is that not objectively true? Yes or no? I only need a yes or no answer. Because if anything I say is a lie, then you're gonna say no, right? But see, that's the thing about it. People when they argue against those points, it's all emotional. Knows how calm I am and knows how knee-jerk some of these responses are. You know why I'm talking like this? Because I know what the responses are gonna be. It's always knee-jerk. You don't really think about um, what I'm saying before you say it. Am I objectively wrong? Am I wrong in saying that the poorest states overall are red states? Is that not objectively true? It doesn't matter if other states are poor too. I'm saying, is that statement that I just made true or false? Top 10 states that are poorest, most of them red states. And we're going by GDP, we're going by exports, we're going by all that stuff. Top 10 states, most of those states within the top 10 are red states. And there's reasons for that. There's reasons for that. Now, is it because of all the poor white people? There's multiple reasons for that. But that's one of the reasons, yeah. And welfare spending. Someone say I hate capitalism. It's like, what does capitalism have to do with any of this? I haven't even gotten into that part of it yet. I'm just curious. Like, what does that have to do with anything? So, um, the thing about it is that whenever you have these kind of conversations, people get real defensive. And I want you to notice how calm I'm being, right? Just notice that. And notice some of the comments. Listen to how angry it sounds. How dare you? It's hilarious to me. how triggered that you can make somebody with simply just making a simple statement that you can simply ignore. You can click off the freaking stream. You don't have to actually listen to me. But you stay here because you know what I'm saying is true. You know it. You know that most of the states that are poor white states. Most of them. You ask what are the top 10? Guess what? Guess what I got? Desktop computer. Let's go look it up real quick. Let's go look it up. Because when I answer that question, right, what I don't want you to do, hold on, let me go look up. Pizza Doc, one, top 10. I'm going to answer the question for you. See? Republicans cry too much. Yeah, they cry a lot. They do. Like, for example, if you see the title of the screen, right, and if you are a Republican or if you're a person that's really defensive of Republicans, why are you here? You just want to argue? You're not going to accomplish anything productive, right? Just want to troll? That's not productive. So, top 10 poorest states. Let's see. Let's see who's the poorest states. CNBC, U.S. News, highest poverty rates. That's a good. Let me go and turn the camera around for you. So I want you guys to see this though, because I want you to see some of this funny stuff, man. Because like people don't realize how poor some of these states are, and it's just like absolutely hilarious how poor they are. It's kind of bad actually. Not hilarious, but like it's bad in that it's like wow, how could they be so poor? Um, let's see. So which state is the poorest? The top 10 poorest states 2022. Yeah, most of those are white states. Okay, the poorest states here. Let's go. Who are the poorest states in the union? This is from worldpopulationreview.com. So let's go down here. The poorest states, Mississippi, number one, Louisiana, mostly white, New Mexico, mostly white. Well, actually a good Hispanic population, but Arkansas is definitely white. West Virginia, definitely white. I mean, look at this. The top 10 here. Mississippi, West Virginia, Arkansas, okay, New Mexico, I would say mostly Hispanic, but Alabama's definitely white. Kentucky's white. Louisiana has a good black population, but it's mostly white. Oklahoma's definitely white. South Carolina is a good bit of black population, but still mostly white. And Montana is mostly white too. So once again, if you're gonna come with all these stuff we're here, I mean, you have to actually concede this. Like if you want to have a good conversation with me, you have to concede that this is the truth, because it doesn't matter what source I pull up. Like okay, so fine, someone says, oh, that's a bad source, Fine, let's go to a freaking different source. Let's see. Let's go to the first one I hear. So this is from the Friends Committee on National Legislation Lobbying with Quakers. Wow. Okay, so Quakers did some actual research here. So according to the U.S. Census Bureau, the national poverty rate was 11.2% in 2021, the same rate in 2020. And these territorial states had the highest percentage of poverty: Mississippi, Louisiana, New Mexico, Arkansas, West Virginia, Alabama, Kentucky, Washington D.C. Wow, that's a big strike against freaking Democrats. Actually, how is it that DC has one of the highest rates of freaking poverty? That's a big strike against freaking Democrats, because you're like right there, right? I mean, you are right there, right? But let's actually continue. South Carolina and Oklahoma. Most of these are red states. Most of these states um, are actually they have the highest rate of poverty. They're also the poorest states. They produce the lowest like freaking GDP. Well, okay, so Washington D.C. is not a state, but it is a territory. I mean, it's a part of the freaking U.S. and it does count in terms of actual stats, and it does show that even the Democrats have been negligent in terms of actually helping people. So again, I don't run like a partisan channel. This shows you that DC, just like any other part of the country, has poverty rate that's just absurd, and it shows that both parties just don't care. Like that's the whole part that I want Democrats and Republicans to see. I don't care about your policy, your freaking partisan politics. I care about the freaking American people. Deal with that. I don't care about your politics. Well, I think I'm the best. I think I'm the best. I don't care. Don't care, man. I care about the people, not your opinion. Jesus. Jeez. Top 10 poor states by CNBC's third source now. 10, Oklahoma. The medium household income is just $44,000. Jesus. Jesus, bro. How do you even making it through the freaking inflation period? South Carolina, median income 43,000. Yeah, that's my home state. Not shocking. Louisiana, the median household income is 42,900. Tennessee, the median household income is 42,007. That is ridiculous, bro. New Mexico, 42.5. Jeez, man. Kentucky, the median household income from Kentucky, a majority white state, is just $41,000. Are you serious, bro? Alabama, 41,500 bucks. That's it, bro. Hold on, let's start actually reading. So Gallup ranked Alabama the second most religious state in the U.S. earlier this year. But the state clearly has issues with moderation. Not only is it poor, but it's tragically unhealthy. In stats presented at the 14th Annual Rural Health Conference, they lead in diabetes, obesity, and hypertension. They lead the nation in diabetes, second in obesity, and third in hypertension. Wow. So only 2 other states have a worse ranking for children living in poverty. Wow. Wow. That is crazy, bro. Okay, so West Virginia, country road. Here we go. Let's go. So $40,196 is the median household income. Oh my gosh, that is crazy, bro. What? Okay, hold on. Let's read some stats here. Okay, so they have 1,855,413 people in the state total, right? But more than 320,000 of that number lived in poverty in 2012, including 90,000 children. Although those below the poverty line decreased by nearly a full percentage point compared to 2011, nearly 1 out of 5 residents in the state lived in poverty, and almost 10% of the state live in extreme poverty. What? Wow. Arkansas. Okay, so let's go look at Arkansas. The median household income for Arkansas is just $40,000, bro. And they have more people than West Virginia. Okay, so West Virginia has 1,855,413 people, but Arkansas has 2,949,131 people. You have more people, but a lower median household income. Oh my God. That is crazy. Mississippi, 37. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm gonna look this right here. The median household income for the state of Mississippi is $37,000. That's nuts, bro. What? Hold on. Let me go read some states. So the Magnolia State is the poorest state in the USA with a median household income of just $37,095, despite adding 25,000 jobs in 2012. Mississippi's unemployment percentage ranks the 6th highest. More than 1 out of 3 children are poor, with 24.2% of its citizens living below the poverty line, and the highest in the land, according to the Census Bureau. Only West Virginia had fewer households earning over $200,000 last year than Mississippi, and only Oregon had more people receiving food stamps. Yo. So the blue states quite literally support the red states. You should be grateful to blue states because it's not you that's pouring the money. So South Carolina, let me go look at South Carolina. So this is actually my home state. My home state of South Carolina. I'm from this state. I spent over 30 years here. right? The median household income is $43,107. I can tell you for a fact we were so poor growing up that we used to eat cereal with a fork to save the milk. Seriously, that's how poor I was growing up in South Carolina. So these numbers don't shock me. That's how poor this state is. The medium household, meaning that a family, a husband, a wife, the medium household income is $43,000. Who can survive off of that, bro? That's why you got people working 3 and 4 jobs in South Carolina. I watched my mama be a unit secretary, go sell antiques and collectibles at the freaking flea market. She worked 2 side jobs too, and she raised 3 black boys by herself. That's how poor we were. So, of all of them, the best one off is Oklahoma, right? But even then, the median household income for Oklahoma is $44,000, bro. You got Republicans talking smack about welfare. How dare you? Listen, Republicans. We're going to count these states. We're going to see how many of these states are red states, right? I want to see how many of these states are red states. Which states are red states? Let's type that in. I want to compare that to how many states are in poverty, because I find that Republican red states are absolutely impoverished for the most part. The only ones that really aren't is really, I would say, probably like Texas maybe, but even then it's like, for the most part, when you look at this map here, the majority of those states that were the majority of those states that were listed there, besides Washington D.C. and New Mexico, those are the only 2. But the rest are all red states. South Carolina, red state. Alabama, red state. Mississippi, red state. Louisiana, red state. Arkansas, red state. Oklahoma, red state. They're all red states. The poorest states in this country are red states. You don't get to talk smack to Democrats ever again. Not on my channel, you don't. Because Oklahoma, Oklahoma, the median household income is just $44,000. Is that a red state? Yep, Oklahoma's red state. It's right there. It's right there. Red state. Okay, so let's go over here. Let's go down here. South Carolina, is that a red state? Okay, right here. SC, South Carolina. Red state, right there. My home state, right there. Okay, let's go down here. Louisiana, is that a red state? Let's go find out. Let's go look at the map. Louisiana, right there, right next to Texas, right there. See? Red state. Red state, right there. Let's go back down here. Let's go back over here. Tennessee. Is that a red state? Let's see. Is that a red state? Yeah, it is, right there. Tennessee, right there, red state. Red state. Okay. So let's go down here. New Mexico. That is a blue state. You got one blue state. One blue state. One. Okay. Kentucky. Is that a red state? Let's see. Kentucky. Where's Kentucky? There you go, right there. Red state. Another red state. Okay. So Alabama. Let's see. Alabama. Is that a red state? Right there. Right next to Georgia. Right there. Boom. Another red state. So let's see here. West Virginia. Is that a red state? Let's find out. Where's West Virginia? Right there. Red state. Right there. Right next to Virginia and right below Ohio and Pennsylvania. Right there. Red state. Okay, so let's go back here. Arkansas. Is that a red state? Let's see. Probably. Didn't Arkansas go on blue? Oh, it did not. It's a red state. Boom. Another poor red state. So Mississippi. Is that a red state? I'm thinking it is. It is. So out of all the top 10 poorest states in America, only one is a blue state. Only one is a blue state. You don't get to talk any smack to Democrats. I'm not a fan of Democrats, but Republicans, you can't talk smack to them. It's just like for example, You know, I'm not a big fan of LeBron James, but I ain't gonna let some bench warmer tell me that he's better, right? So it works just like that. Like I could not be a fan of Eminem, right? But I ain't gonna let some no name rapper be like, well, I'm better than him. It don't work like that. It don't work like that. No, you don't get to talk no smack. People like, well, the top two states for more homeless are blue states because they have more people. It makes more sense. But you actually adjust population size, the amount of poverty and homelessness in your red states is bad. It's bad. It's bad. It doesn't make sense that New York and California doesn't have a higher rate of poverty given the amount of people in those states. Now, I'm not talking about feelings. I'm talking about just facts. Just facts. And I want you to notice I didn't skip over the blue states. There were just so few of them. You don't think, right? You don't think, wait. Did someone just claim the cost of living is much lower than dim states? Yeah, the cost of living is much lower, which means that I don't understand how is that the rate of poverty is so high. You say that you lower taxes, that you make jobs. So why don't you just lower taxes and make jobs, red states? There's no excuse for this, right? There's no excuse for you to have so much welfare spending, right? I don't want to hear the excuses for welfare spending. Don't deflect. Don't talk about blue states. I'm talking about you right now. So, Mars, if anyone talks around that, ban them from the chat. No, address that problem. Head on. Head on. No deflections. Cities ran by Democrats. Two mean guns. I want you to hop on. You have over 1,000 followers. I don't want to hear the excuses. Hop on. Come on. Hop on. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. See, what you're finding is that I want you to notice how I just ignored the comment section and I just went straight to the facts. See, they want you to read the comments to get you distracted. See how calm I was the whole time? Wasn't angry, didn't yell, didn't scream. Just said they gave you nothing but the facts. This is why these people don't like me very much. Because I can sit here and look you right in the face and be as calm as can be and just talk right through all the trolling. So, like I said, Mods, anybody who talks around it, I want all the people who are Republicans, who are right wingers, I want you to address that fact. Why is there so much welfare in your states? I don't want to hear about Democrats. I want to hear about your state. Why is there so much in your state? Why? I'm just curious. Oh, I'm a liberal? Hmm. I'm a liberal. Okay. I can say Republicans cry too much. I didn't say Democrats didn't. I'm just talking about you right now. Go look at my channel. I actually have videos criticizing Democrats. I've been excommunicated. I'm known for that. Do you not know ACAB double uh is not liked by the far left because I won't go with freaking Democrats? I criticize Stacey Abrams. I criticize Joe Biden. What's your point? That's why people like that don't care for me, right? This is why these people don't care for me because I'm not partisan. In fact, my last live stream, I was criticizing Democrats. Ooh. In fact, I called the South Carolina Democratic Party. In the South Carolina Democratic Party, I told them they shouldn't win another election. And I put out a video about that went viral. ACAB isn't endorsed by the liberals. It's a name, guy. It's a name. See? See what I mean? When they have nothing to attack you on, they want to try to link you to the political binary. They have to try to link, they have to say, well, you're just a Republican, you're just a Democrat. I'm neither. And keep labeling me on that. That doesn't make me earn respect. It just caused me to want to ban you from the chat. Kentucky, in terms of in terms of who has the poorest states, Kentucky is number 5 with the median household income of $41,724 for the person who asked. Republicans cry too much, yeah. They do. They do. They cry about welfare, and yet I just went over how welfare is actually worse in like red states, like exponentially worse when you actually adjust for population size, right? I know where Kentucky is. You want to know how you know where you want to know how you know I probably do. So I'm in Washington State like right now. So my home state is South Carolina, right? So I drove from South Carolina to Washington State, meaning I probably know where Kentucky is. I did that. I drove from South Carolina to Washington State and Washington State, South Carolina back like 18 times in the past 2 years. It took you a while to find it. Yeah, I can see where you're gonna just troll. So if you're just gonna troll, listen. I don't mind trolling, but it's gotta be good trolling. It can't just be like boring, silly stuff. Um, I'm in Washington State. Who set up Chop? I'm not entirely sure, but let's talk about that briefly. Chop. I think Chop was completely justified. I had a conversation with the he wasn't the actual Seattle police chief then, but it was actually Adrian Diaz. He was just the interim then. And so I wanted to give him, like a bit of a rough time because, he was I kind of figured he was going to be picked. So I wanted to kind of set the tone. And so we had an actual conversation. Um I started looking for Kentucky on the west. Um So as I was saying, when I talked to Adrian Diaz from the Seattle Police Department, he talked to me about CHOP, or the autonomous zone, and I told him that I think it was justified because when you look at the Second Amendment, you are allowed to resist tyranny. He says, "So what do you mean by that?" I said, the Seattle Police Department has been under a federal consent decree that was issued by a federal judge. His name was Judge Robart, and Judge Robart was involved in several things with the Seattle Police Department with the U.S. District Courts. And I know it, and I actually know his name off the top of my head because I've read so many court documents with that man's name on it. So the thing about it is that I'm sitting there talking to him and I'm saying, so if you guys are not abiding by the federal consent decree issued by a federal judge in a U.S. district court, well, then at that point, the Second Amendment has to be engaged. People have to protect themselves from a tyrannical government. And my definition of tyranny is when a federal judge tells you to do something and you don't do it. And that's when he hung up the phone. So now you see why the cops hate me. Because like I can actually take case law, I can take actual constitution and explain why the people should be able to defend themselves against tyranny. The Second Amendment is very, very clear. If you run into a tyrannical government and when a federal judge tells you do this and you don't do it, that is my definition of tyranny. And so what Chop did was completely justified. And I know Adrian Diaz does not like me. I don't care. I have nothing personally against him, but what I think is simple. I believe that the people should be able to defend themselves and also govern themselves without a bunch of regulations, a bunch of nonsense. See, Republicans, let me tell you something about Republicans. They claim to be anti-government, but the second they find something that they want to outlaw, I'm calling my legislator. I want this outlaw. I don't want no CRT in my schools. I don't want no abortions. I don't like urban campings. They claim to be anti-government and yet advocate for more laws. How can you be anti-government but you advocate for more laws? Every law you advocate for, right? Every law, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, every law you advocate for, you're also advocating for the enforcement of that law. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. Every law you advocate for is a law that you're advocating the enforcement of. This is why I tell people who love the government so much, stop advocating for laws for these cops to enforce. At this point, we don't need more laws. We need protections. At this point, we don't need more reasons to get police to go and harass someone or do a freaking no-knock raid. Right? So Republicans, what you got to understand is that you could have had the libertarian vote, but you lost it when you lost your way in terms of staying anti-government. You lost your way on that. And that's, I think, the way that you lost your way with that is white supremacy. That's the only reason why. When white supremacy entered the Republican Party at one point was not the party that you see now. At one point, they were actually okay. At one point. So what happened? Well, over time, the party switched. And over time, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the Democrats aren't racist. Oh, they definitely, yeah. Listen, I saw what happened at the LA City Council. I know they're racist, duh. But guess what, Republicans? You are the chief of it. The hell? You say some of your politicians say some of the most insensitive, ridiculous stuff, and then even when we tell you as black people that's racist, you argue with us as if you're going to define racism for us. Right? White supremacy is deep within the Republican Party. Anyone denying that, I just can't respect. I can't respect that. No. 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 We gonna have truth here. We're gonna have truth here. I didn't say that the Democrats were not the party of white supremacy. I said that the Republicans were freaking worse. You can't show me one time in this stream where I gave a single Democrat any kind of praise. Not once. But yet, you got people out there who say, "Oh, you must be a liberal, you must be a Democrat." Where have I ever said that? Never. See, I want you to understand something. When you are calm like this, and when you're simply explaining your points logically, you let people label you whatever they want to label you. And so that lets you know what the talking points about you behind your back are. See? It lets you know where you actually stand. Because what this live stream showed me is that there's three main things wrong with the Republican Party. One, the Republicans are way too emotional. You claim Democrats are emotional. Actually, a lot of them are business people behind closed doors, and they're not very emotional. Many of them, they feign it. They just pretend like they're emotional people, but they're not. They're very calculated. Like. For example, say what you want about a Nancy Pelosi. She's very calculated. Say what you want about a Maxine Waters. She remained in politics for a reason. She's not a dumb woman. Okay, they're very calculated. So I want you to understand something, right? It doesn't have anything to do with Democrat or Republican in terms of white supremacy. We know both sides have white supremacy. We know that. Both the country, the world runs off of white supremacy. We know that. I'm just talking about the shade of it. Oh, I know Democrats haven't changed much from the Dixiecrat era. I know that. But it just comes in different shades. See, we got a saying in the black community, and it goes like this: there's levels to this. So when people cry out says, "Well, Democrats are the real racists," that's like getting into that grade school argument and saying you're ugly, and then someone says, "No, well, you're uglier," and it never gets to the point where someone says, "Well, I'm not ugly. I don't care who's ugly or who's uglier. I'm not ugly. Don't call me that." See, Democrats and Republicans are like those two little children. You're ugly. No, you're ugly. No, you're uglier. You're uglier. And you're sitting back like, both of y'all look kind of ugly to me. See? See, I want you to know is many of the Republican trolls here who showed up in the very comment section, if you switch a few words, they will sound just like Democrat shows. I'm not saying they're both sides of the same coin. I'm just saying they're different types of change. If you get what I mean. When it all boils down to it, both parties use the labor of black people, the votes of black people, the culture of black people, the inventions of black people to undermine black people. And that's when Republicans went racist. When you embrace white supremacy, let me explain something to you. White supremacy is the most expensive thing on planet Earth. Between the way that you got to fund the police, between the way you got to go and invade black countries, drone strike them. When you look at how you got to redline black Americans, foundational black Americans, when you look at how you have to actually use banks, use schools, use even food, the military, you have spent so much money to keep us down. And that's when the Republican Party went racist. It's not about rich versus poor. It's about white supremacy. Systematic white supremacy. And we cannot be afraid to say those words. Systematic white supremacy. Call it what it is. Listen, I don't care if you are part of the LGBT community, if you a black man, a black woman, a black child. I don't care if you date a white woman, a Hispanic woman, an Asian woman. I don't care who you date. I don't care if you date a man. I don't care if you date a freaking woman. It doesn't matter. If you are black, realize this country and this planet, not just this country, but the planet runs on white supremacy. There ain't a continent that ain't true in. There's not a continent with a significant amount of humans on it. You go over to Australia, right? Australia, the Aborigines, they're darker than freaking me. The Australian natives there, they're darker than me, and I'm black. And yet, what happened to them? Those white people went over there and took over. White supremacy. Look at the African. Look at the African. The freaking African. Look at Africa right now. Right. Africans outnumber white people probably like 20-1, and yet white people run the African continent as a minority. That's crazy, bro. But again, it's systematic white supremacy. Even in Africa, where they outnumber white people by a mile, it's still white supremacy. You go over to the Caribbean, it's no different. Our brothers, our cousins, our family over there in Haiti had to kick out the white supremacists. All right? Jamaica, it just doesn't matter. You look at the original people in Mexico, they were very dark people. This is why whenever you talk to somebody who's even a white Hispanic, their grandmother is usually black, like my girl. She's Mexican, but her grandma black. Which lets you know something. It lets you know something. It lets you know that if the people there aren't black anymore in Mexico, what happened? How did that change? How did that change? White supremacy. Mijola La Raza. You know, white supremacy. People have to realize that the Republican Party, you became the enemy of the people when you embrace white supremacy. And that's why the Republican Party is not long for this world. But that's it, guys. Until next time, I love you all. Thank you for joining me. It's been a great live stream. Until next time, horns up, peace out, good night, and good luck.